Today we're going to do an introductory workshop introducing the somatic method of movement education, at least my variation on it. And all practitioners, of course, bring what they bring to each technique. And somatics, the title of this is Unlocking the Body in Motion, Introduction to Somatic Movement for Chronic Pain. And just what that title says, that a lack of motion is at the root of chronic pain. And obviously it's not any motion, it's healthful motion. And here we're going to explore just why and how this can be a missing piece in what, by the time you've come to this session and have chronic pain and things have built up in your body, maybe you're looking for that missing piece. And it is the ability from within, from the felt sense of yourself, which is somatics. Somatics means the felt experience of self. We can begin our process of unwinding all the unconscious, habitual muscle tensions that have created patterns of movement that have put such stress on our bodies that we either feel achy all over, or we have injuries or hurt parts in one part of our self that just doesn't go away. Or pain comes one day, goes another. It's a mystery. So we're looking here to unravel that mystery just through our own experience, through our own exploration. It's doable, it's simple, but it is a different way of moving and a different way that can offer some new solutions for you. So with anything new, be a beginner with it. Don't induce pain in any action you do, ideally. Or need to know that persisting in painful movement is of no service to you, especially as we're beginning to address and create change. So that's huge. That's what's very important once you say, okay, something new is happening, I need to figure out. We want to release habitual tension and find new and more optimal motion in our bodies. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about that as we do. So right now, let's everybody stand up, and your session begins now. By beginning to notice how we're starting. What's the beginning of my journey today, my exploration? And standing itself can tell us a lot. But we need to open our hearts and just not be hypercritical or judgmental, self-judgmental or dismissive of ourselves or the experience. Because again, it is subtler than a lot of movement modalities, but that can be the solution here, to find the differences and the similarities and different parts of ourself in motion, the balance and all that. So as you stand here now, take a moment and just relax, take a few easy breaths. Through the nose is optimal, but you can breathe how you need to. And this is a standing awareness, and it's fundamental, the beginning awareness of what our experience is. You can feel from this position how you're standing, the 2 feet underneath you. Is the weight balance right to left similar or very different, or a little different? And if you don't know the answer to the questions I ask at any time, that's okay. The question will come around again. The awareness will emerge as it's needed and as you're ready. So you're feeling the 2 feet, and you can notice where and how they're positioned, again, to wherever you're at now. And you can feel from your feet into your ankles and into the shins, right to left. You're noticing similarities and differences in how these body parts, bones, and joints are positioned. Continue to relax, and certain things will seem significant to you. Oh, there's that pain, there's that tension. Oh, that knee is bent differently than the other. Trust what comes to light as being important for you today. And as you stand here and you're feeling the 2 shins into the knees, is one knee bent differently than the other? Are they both way straight, or are they both bent? Are they pointed? And again, some people won't have any awareness. This may be pointed in different directions or feel somehow different. And then moving from the legs, from the lower legs rather, shins, into the knees, up into the thighs, into the hip joint. Feeling the two hips. Outside here isn't the hips, it's where I might reference as where the hips are, but it's the edge, it's the outer edge of the thigh bone. The hip is in the middle, and there's a pelvis in the middle of that, and you can feel if one side is higher than the other. If you were to imagine the pelvis in the middle as a bowl, would the water, if it was filled with water, would water be pouring out one direction or the other, forward or backward or to one side, or somewhere in the middle? And so you're feeling the two legs into the hips. You can feel any patterns of sensation, any tensions that are there. And bring awareness up into, from the hips into the low back. And notice how from the hip joint into the back, if you place your hands back there, there's two muscle groups on each side of the spine. And putting your hands there can help you feel whether the tone and the contraction of the two sides of the spine are different or the same. And here we're really highlighting in a broad way initially, in a more specific way as we go, the differences, two sides of the spine, if one is significantly tighter than the other. We might want to monitor that through the class today. Up into the ribs and the chest, your sense of things, your felt sense, and it may not be well developed right now, but that's okay. Whatever is important will show up, or will be important, will be revealed, at least to some degree. So you're feeling the two shoulders relation to your ears. Do they feel equidistant? Do one feel closer to the ear than the other? And if you're looking at your screen, you can then test that with the visual and see how the visual sense matches your felt sense. And quite often it's our habits feels normal, and then you look and you see one shoulder just looks different somehow than the other. And that's really what we're working with when we create change. And you're feeling and allowing your awareness to settle. Maybe you can feel in the back, in the front, as you breathe, is the breath finding its way forward in your body or into the back? Or is it really fully through the whole body, as well as you can tell? And then turn your head to one side and then the other. From day 1 to day 5,000 of our work, we can pay at least a little attention before we go to work on ourselves in this way, to the scan of our body, to the starting and position, and then toward the end, we can continue to refer to the body in how it's feeling in different circumstances. So you're noticing you might feel limited one way or the other, and you turn to one side. Something we have to do every day, drive a car. You notice if it's easy to do it, and only go as far as is easy. Don't crane and see how far you can see. We're looking to reestablish easy, fundamental motion in our bodies. And you may notice you turn one way and something grabs somewhere, it stiffens and tightens. Well, you stop at that point, come back to center, and then go the other way. And this is the beginning of your applied awareness. You're applying the outcome of so many great meditation techniques to something very pragmatic and practical, your well-being. So now, you're gonna, if you can, set up yourself, have a yoga mat set up. And if you know that you have neck pressure and tension, that might be happen as you lie down, you're going to get a flat surface, a blanket or something, and you put that where your head will be, so that you're not going to be craned back in your neck. So lie down on your back on that mat. And again, if that's not going to work for you, you can do this sitting, and you can imagine a lot of the movements. I won't cue to sitting stuff too much, although we actually may do something if we have some time. We may do some sitting work. But you can't imagine what we're doing and make gains. So what I will do, I will demo position, and I will demo the movements to some degree. But I don't want you craning toward me to look. I will look at you, and I will cue and describe as well as I'm able. But right now, just take a moment and extend your legs. If you need that flat surface to lift your head for comfort's sake, do so. And if you need to bend your knees right away for comfort in your low back, please do that. In any case, we're not going to go through the whole, this is a relatively short workshop, so I don't want to go too much. I'm just going to do a very brief body scan here. So you're going to notice how your standing posture and position relates to this very simple way of being in your body. And one way to do that is just imagine yourself on a sandy beach. And you're lying down on that beach, and you can feel and imagine where the impressions your body makes into the sand will be most apparent. And just notice where that might be. Maybe pick 2 or 3 places. Oh, wow, that right hip is really pressured into the floor. My feet are pointed out in 2 different directions. Roll your head side to side. And when you roll your head side to side, notice how far it's easy to do that. Don't move into difficulty. If you're standing, or sitting rather, you can do the same thing. Sit forward and neutral in the chair and just look left and right. And then having just that general sense of yourself, the feelings of your body generated from the floor. It's called exteroception, where the outside feelings into the body help you feel yourself a little bit more clearly. And that's how we get into this work. So now everybody, bend your knees easily, one at a time, and bring your feet flat. And place your hands on your belly. And through your nose, if you can, or easily in any case, you're going to breathe. Your hands are on your belly, from spread wide and soft, elbows out to the side. You're going to breathe into the belly. And notice where the breath goes and what limits it. And then exhale, let the belly relax. If feeling yourself from the outside, is one way to feel yourself, breathing is another. We can breathe into the area of the belly in this moment. And the breath will help us feel what's going on. Maybe you breathe in, you feel one side of the belly moves and the other side doesn't, or it's just really hard to do it at all. The mechanism here is a diaphragm moving down into the belly, inflating the belly. And exhale, let the belly fall. And you notice that you probably mainly feel the front. But over time, next couple of breaths, you're going to invite your awareness, meaning you're going to follow the breath as it breathes in, sideways to the side of the low back and side of the ribs, and into the side of the lower body, and then into the back. Where there's no motion is often the root cause of the aches and pains elsewhere. It can be in one joint, doesn't quite feel or move as well, or behave as well function-wise. Or it can even, and for most of us initially, there'll be a lot of restriction in the middle of the body. And that leverages movement above and below, creating a lot of stress in joints like the shoulders, like the neck, which is several joints of the vertebra, the low back, and the 2 hips. So you're breathing in and letting the belly expand, and exhale, relaxing. And pay attention the next couple of breaths to your low back and into the bone between the hips, the sacrum. And just feel as well as you can, just even if it doesn't feel like much, just feel that area. And a lot of what we're going to do today is you're going to learn the lingo. You're going to learn the cueing that I'm going to give you. So we're going to do 2 or 3 separate exercises. For somatics, we don't want to teach too much at once. It's how much your nervous system can really process is what we're doing. We're going to go slow. We're going to work consciously. So we work with your neuromuscular system directly and create changes more immediately and potentially more durably than more rapid unconscious movement patterning and exercise. So breathing into the belly now, you're just lightly on the exhale, press the bone between the 2 hips, that flat bone in the middle, lightly into the floor. Just enough to feel that bone more, not to strengthen anything, not to do anything, but just, oh, there is that bone. Okay, I feel it. And then relax. And then breathe in again. And next time, press that bone again lightly. So you clarify the feeling of that bone into the floor. And you may notice that when you press the bone, something else presses. Maybe not. So then inhale, belly rising. And exhale, you're pressing that sacral bone into the floor very lightly just to feel it more clearly. And you're noticing maybe something else happens in your body. Or maybe you feel something grab in somewhere or tighten somewhere else, in which case you stop pressing and release slowly. So you can do that just 1 or 2 more times. Moving into this clear press of the sacral bone into the floor and feeling the minute something else activates, meaning tenses, tightens, or you feel something else. Then you're going to relax and stop. And then you're going to let what you felt go. Your knees are bent, your feet are flat. You're just feeling your way through this. Whatever you're feeling is correct. So, and we're going to keep it very simple today. The movements we're going to do are very simple. So now, next time you breathe in, you're going to expand the belly, press the sacrum lightly, and roll the pelvis away from you. What that means is your low back is going to arch off the floor. Your tailbone, the bottom of the spine, is going to turn into the floor. And your back will arch because your low back muscles are beginning to contract. Then you're going to release the back muscles that have contracted. And you're going to relax and just let everything come to neutral. But you want to feel the letting go. So this is the beginning of an exercise called arch and flatten. And this is the arch part. And it's a pandiculation. We're going to do familiar movements that are done differently. And what we're doing with a pandiculate, we're creating a tension to create a movement. We're moving just as far as it's easy. The minute you feel a limit or your body is inviting you to stop, you're going to stop, that is. And then you're going to slowly, even more slowly than you came in, feel the release of the muscles that created the movement. And then at the end, you shut everything off and relax. And each time is an ability to approximate an approved action. You're going to go toward a limit, something that's familiar, and certainly don't go into pain. You'll feel long before pain, not long, but a little bit before pain, you'll feel things get tight or your body braces. We're looking to notice that. This is unconscious normally. We don't notice it. Now you're feeling it and noticing it, relaxing it. And then you're feeling the letting go. It's called eccentric release of muscles, but it's conscious eccentric release, eccentric release. And it's a way to get flexible without stretching because we're resetting your nervous system directly. All animals with a vertebra pandiculate. We do it, we yawn. Yawn is a pandiculation. This is a targeted yawn. It's fundamental to changing the pattern of motion in somatics because we're targeting, we're not just yawning generally, we're yawning or pandiculating specifically. So do 1 or 2 more of these until you get fairly good at it. If it feels unpleasant on one side or the other, kind of make sure your feet and knees are balanced and lined up pretty comfortably and your feet are standing tall. And think of improvement and think of small gains. Gently arching, feeling a contraction. And initially, you may not even really feel a contraction. You might use all these other parts of yourself. And then release and relax. It's the letting go and then the shutting off of your efforts that allows the next action to potentially be a little more refined and a little more clear and fundamental and optimal. All these good things. Because you're directing, you're the conductor of your orchestra here. Okay, so now let's do the other half of that. So inhale now, breathe into the belly, but don't arch. As you exhale, you're gonna flatten your back as easily as you can. Don't make anything hurt, only go to where it's easy, but do feel the flattening if you can. And feel the belly fall on the exhale and begin to contract and hollow the belly. So the belly now is supporting the flattening of your back. The tail will get light on the floor. The hip might lighten up off the floor a little bit. Then release your belly very slowly. Feel the fibers of your belly muscles let it go and allow the pelvis to come to neutral. And then shut everything off. And then do this again. You're going to breathe into the belly and feel its expansion without arching. Easy. Exhale, let the belly fall. Let the back flatten, and toward the end, you're going to actively contract and hollow the belly, not to crunch it, not to exercise it, but to feel the fibers of muscles contracting in the belly, and most importantly, feeling them release slowly, consciously. If it helps, you can count to 4 on the flattening part and 6 or 8 on the releasing part. So do this a couple more times. Trust your instincts in terms of just feeling your way. And if you're not feeling much, that's okay. You know, you're just the intention, just setting and steering your mind in this direction. We're connecting to your motor cortex directly, you know, through your efforts. We're steering the motion inward. We work and move and live habitually. We're supposed to. And when pain happens, some of those habits, for many reasons, have taken us into a way that the body isn't best suited to move, and it's putting stress, or has put stress for a number of years on these parts, undue stress. So. Okay, so now let's put those together. We'll add a couple components. And just before that, I want to take note that the spine, if you have back pain, and especially low back pain, that area is likely overworking, working at a disadvantage, doing jobs of the joints and parts of ourself above and below, so that when we move, we're sitting, we're moving, or whatever, we're there too much, or we've been there too much so long, now we have damage there. And so we want to take care to unwind all that with sensitivity. So really pay attention to that component. So now, the other thing is the spine is one kinetic unit from tailbone into your neck and head. So we're going to begin to track the movement up the body and see if we can get a little more motion off the low back and into the more integrated movement in the spine. So breathe in now, expand your belly, roll the pelvis away. Feel the gentle contraction of your low back into the arch. The minute you feel something stopping you or limiting you, you stop there. Hold for just a moment and breathe. As I invite you to notice your ribs and your chest, and in particular your head and neck. And you may notice the chin is starting to want to move toward your throat, or you're feeling a lot of tension in your chest and upper body. So now release the contraction of your back and let go. And then next breath in, breathe without arching. And exhale, flatten the back, contract and hollow the belly. And as the belly contracts on the exhale, you'll feel the spine flatten and the movement of flattening go all the way up toward the head until you'll feel tension. Stop, relax. You may notice the chin wants to move toward your throat, especially if you've done this work before. Slowly release and relax. Whatever you feel tense, release your belly as well and let go. So when you arch, the chin will, over time, begin to clarify its motion toward your throat, because that's the other end of the spine. When you flatten, it'll begin to clarify and move more in a more connected way, chin moving away from throat. As a general rule, don't force the situation. Just by noticing it, you'll invite it, but not force it. So next breath in, you're going to roll the pelvis away. Create a little arch in your, gentle arch in your back. Feel the low back muscles gently contracting. The belly will expand. And then exhale slowly. Feel the back release, your pelvis come neutral. Let everything go. And then breathe in without arching. And exhale, flatten the back. Gently, but clearly. And feel the contraction, as the belly falls, contract the belly muscles, hollowing the belly gently, but clearly. And the back will flatten, and maybe now the chin wants to move away from your throat. If it doesn't, don't force it. You might feel instead some tension somewhere, in which case stop at that point, release the tension, and then release the belly and relax. If you need to stop at this point, do so. If you need to bend your arms so your elbows come and hands come onto your ribs because there's stress in your shoulder, do so. You know, if you need to just imagine doing this work, you can do so. But on your own now, maybe I'll cue a little bit to support you, but on your own, do three more arch and flattens. So breathe in, expand your belly, roll the pelvis away and gently arch. And you notice maybe the chin moving to throat, but whatever starts to limit you, stop, release, and then release back to neutral. So 2 releases, 1 at the end of the movement and 1 to allow you to come back to neutral and let go. Then breathing in without arching, flatten the back, contract and hollow the belly on the exhale. As the spine spreads into the floor, the chin moves away from throat, perhaps. And then release and relax. Refining the movement will be doing less and getting equal or similar action or thereabouts. Less overt effort to regain motion through the spine. Maybe you didn't even know those tensions existed. Now you're aware. Because we're going so slow and consciously, you can release them. And as they release, your brain and body and self can reorganize around that. So one more, make it your easiest, bestest one yet. And then release, relax, and just for the moment now, straighten your legs if you can, if it's safe and comfortable to do so. And noticing if there's a difference in that impression your body is making on that imaginary beach. Has something changed? And it's this immediate reference you can make and take that will allow you to further integrate what you just did. Your brain is now changing. It's found or rediscovered a pattern that's lost. And we find out, is it bringing you into balance? Do you feel a little looser, a little easier? Or are there new feelings that are seeking attention? Our symptoms in our body have a purpose. The first of which is to make us attentive to something. And often in busy lives, we don't do that until they become fairly significant. And the other thing is they want to limit us so we don't go into injurious motion. So that's why we listen to our pain signals with respect, not fear. But maybe now there's a little more length, a little less intense impressions and hard feelings here. And notice the quality of breath. As you breathe in, is there more breath through more of your torso? Can you feel the side of the body differently? Maybe you feel there's some feeling in the back you weren't even aware of before. And then bend your knees, feet flat again. And you're going to bring your right hand behind your head. Palm flat, head rests on your hands. We're going to do a very diagonal arch and curl. It's a cross patterning movement, as you'll discover, meaning that we're going to release, recreate, and reconnect across our body from your right shoulder toward your left side. And obviously going to work the other side a little bit as well, but you're going to bring your left knee toward you, toward your chest. Hold your left kneecap with your hand. And just to settle into this position a couple of times, we'll do a couple shoulder release actions. If you have pain just being here, it's difficult to be here, you can keep your foot on the floor while we're doing this. But you're going to bring your elbow toward your ears. The front of the shoulder is going to contract. Feel the contraction. But you also might feel tension elsewhere. You're going to relax. And then let the elbow release away from your ear, out to the side, and relax. And then just do that again. Inhale. And as you exhale, bring your elbow to ear. There's a hinge at the shoulder joint and a contraction of the muscles in front of the shoulder to create that movement. You're going to hug your elbow to ear and then release and relax. But you want to feel the letting go of those muscles that were just contracted. Now, this is important. Most people are limited in the ability of the elbow to be on the floor, especially if you've never done this. So it's not about forcing the elbow to the floor, but you're just going to bring the right shoulder joint into the floor as you open your elbow toward the floor. That'll create action, a contraction in the back of the right shoulder. And it'll also reveal any limitations in your shoulder. So just be very easy around that and relax. And then release the contraction in the back and let the elbow come a little off of that. So you relax. And we're just trying to find a comfortable place for the shoulder to be here. So bring the elbow to the floor. By contracting the back of the shoulder as best you can, relax any other tensions. And then release and relax. And then bring your elbow in and out and just see if it can move fairly comfortably. And then bring your left knee toward your chest if you took it away. And we're going to put the arch and flatten together with a curling motion of your upper body. So you're going to inhale and roll the pelvis away, contract your low back as you bring your right shoulder into the floor. The left and right side of the low back will feel different because your knees are in a different position. So you feel a gentle arch and feel the chest open wide in the front. Easy. Then release along the back side and relax. Then breathe in, but don't arch. And as you exhale, bring your right elbow toward your ear as you contract and hollow the belly. Continue to contract and hollow the belly. Rest your head in your hand and just easily move your right elbow toward your left knee. You don't have to go very far at all, especially in this introductory situation. You're just going to feel the action here. And it's a shortening in the front of the body and a lengthening in the back. Slow as you can, feel the lengthening in the front, a release to lower your head to the floor. Keep your elbow at your ear. Then when your head reaches the floor, feel the elbow open out to the side and feel the letting go. Slow as you can, just breathe as you need to do that. And then let everything go. Now inhale, expand your belly, contract easily the right shoulder to the floor as you arch. Only as far as is easy. And the minute you feel limitation, you stop and relax, and then release back to neutral. Just let everything go and shut everything off. And then inhale, and as you exhale, bring your right elbow to ear And bring your right elbow toward your right knee. Feel a slow motion. Lift. You're not touching the knee. You're just moving toward the knee. Your chin released to your throat so the neck can relax. Your head is resting in your hands. Slow as you can, feeling the lengthening along the front of the body, lowering down, release and relax. Let everything go. And inhale, roll the pelvis away, right shoulder and elbow toward the floor. Arch your low back. Maybe it's a little easier now. Maybe you're getting the hang of it. Remember, you're a beginner, so be that. Be a beginner, learning along the way. And then slow as you can, release and relax. Come to neutral. Inhale without arching. Exhale, right elbow to ear and elbow toward your knee. Feeling the connection of contraction and engagement through the front of the body. Across from left hip to right shoulder principally. And then slowly lowering down under control, head to floor, elbow out to side. Then lower your left foot. Take a moment here and take a few breaths. And actually, let's straighten your legs as well. And you can feel that impression of your body on the sand, the position of the two hips and shoulders. And then bend your knees, feet flat. And place your left hand behind your head. The feet are straight, your knees are level-ish, just looking like you're fairly neutral. And you bring your left elbow toward your ear. Feel the contraction in the front. You might feel a whole host of other things. Don't fight through them. Stop when it feels like you're noticing other things going on. Relax in that position, releasing what you're feeling. And then release the elbow out to the side. This is just to set up the position for the movement, but it can be very helpful. So we do that again. Just feel that slow motion contraction. Remember, we're pandiculating. It's a little bit of a yawn here. You're getting a little tension in the front, relaxing what you're feeling as you hold the position that created the tension. And then releasing the position, feeling the letting go and relaxing. And then open the elbow out to the side. Feel the left shoulder contract toward the foot. It's going to feel different than the right for 95% of us. So notice that, but just relax when you start to feel tension anywhere but that contraction of the shoulder. Relax. And then release the elbow back off the floor. So it's just comfortable. And do that again. Slowly contract the left shoulder to the floor, a lengthening from the front of the shoulder, a contraction in the back, gently, gently, gently. Releasing and relaxing to neutral. And then just bring your elbow in and out and let make sure it's a comfortable situation and you're working in comfortable levels, encountering the hint of discomfort and just stopping and going the other way. And then let's bring your right knee toward your chest, hold your right kneecap. You're going to inhale, expand the belly, roll the back into an arch as the left shoulder contracts toward the floor. Feel the chest, allow it to open wide. And then slowly relax and release. And then breathe in without arching. Exhale, flatten the back, left elbow to ear. And then contract and hollow the belly as the elbow moves toward your right knee, chin releasing to throat. Even if it's an inch, it does not matter the degree. If you're sensing your experience, stop, relax, and slowly release. Keep your elbow at your ear and release your head to the floor and open your elbow out to the side slowly. Relax. And then inhale. Left shoulder to the floor, expand your belly, gently arch. Invite the opening and softening through the front of the body, a contraction into the left shoulder and into the low back. And then release those contractions and let everything go. Come to neutral. Breathe in without arching. And exhale, elbow to ear, left elbow to ear, elbow toward your knee as you contract and hollow through the belly, through the ribs, across your body. Controlled, simple, easy action. Slow as you can, feel the letting go as you lower down. Elbow stays at your ear, and then bring your elbow out to the side. Now we're stylizing these movements on purpose. The brain is learning and reorganizing in movement. We're keeping it simple. We're not letting the arm go out when we're lowering down, head to floor. So we can create two clear actions that we can begin to transform. So inhale now, again, arching your back, left shoulder into the floor, expanding through the front, especially through the belly. And then release and relax. Breathe in without arching. And as you exhale, bring your elbow to ear, contract and hollow the belly, and bring your elbow toward your right knee. Slow as you can, release and relax. Feel the letting go. It's the feeling of the letting go allows the change. And when you're done, let everything go. Straighten your legs. Slide one leg out straight, the other one, and roll your head side to side. And notice how things are going. And let the breath find its way. When there's a new pattern, there's new opportunities. Even though we're working with pain and that type of thing, we're also at the same time inviting change throughout. In your cardiovascular system, your musculoskeletal system. If you think about it, the only people who separate those parts of ourselves, I have a muscle problem, but I don't have a circulation problem. The veins, the organs, all these string through a healthy musculoskeletal system. So change is throughout. If you need to turn to one side right now and bring your knees to chest, you can do that. And then everybody, let's stand, turn to one side and then stand up. And we want to go slow, be very safe in process, so make sure you're supporting yourself along the way. And as beginners, at this point, we're going to notice impressions and senses of things, and that really doesn't go away. That visceral sense of our experience is what we respond to. So we're going to notice right now if things seem different somehow, without wondering what might be different. And then I'll cue you in a moment to notice some things that more particularly, and if you've had some experience, you'll already be doing that probably. So, and take a full breath, easy breath in and out, and noticing if the breath now is moving more fully through you. Is it moving into the front and back? A good way to notice if you're dealing with difficulties posturally is the breath. The breath tells us so much. So if you breathe in, you feel most of the breath being moved to the front. Quite often, it's like you're probably a bit sway back. If you're feeling it mostly in the back, you might be rounded or hinged forward. If it's more full, maybe you're coming back over yourself. Now, the other way you can notice that is through the horizon. You can feel your body on the horizon. So, the eyes at the horizon and your body in space. So right now, notice that. And you can look left and right. These are all cues. These are all references. But also, at the same time, the changes, the integration's happening of what we did before. And now walk around a little bit. Notice how you're walking through the room. Notice your symptom areas, those things you came in here to deal with, and see if they feel somehow different. And then come find a spot close to a wall, and you're going to stand, and I want you to pay attention, as we did earlier, to the weight balance on your 2 feet. And you may notice there's a difference there. Maybe it's clearer that you can feel that. Oh, I didn't even know what he was talking about before. Remember, you're beginners. These are all things we don't inquire into until you stumble onto a situation like this, where the invitation is there now to say, well, let's see what's going on here. Is the weight more balanced? Is there more full connection to the floor through your feet, where you feel you're not on the outside where you were before, or both feet are more even? Or is there a new experience? And then step back against the wall. I'm going to do an exercise called the ultimate pandiculation. And you want to look left and right and notice the sense of yourself as it relates to neck and shoulder, and even into the hips. You may feel, people have been doing this a while. This is really a whole body exercise, but we're changing from shoulders down. So you're going to bring your feet on the heels on the wall comfortably, and bring your feet as symmetrical as you comfortably are able to do. Straight ahead would be optimal, but again, for most people, that'll be a stressor. If bringing your feet on the wall is too much, you bring your feet off the wall a little bit. It's perfectly fine, but make sure they're equal off the wall, maybe an inch or 2 or 3. If this is a problem at all, please just have a seat and you can imagine doing what I'm cueing you guys to do. So you bring your buttocks on the wall, your knees straightening within comfort. Relax your belly, your shoulders, and bring your shoulder blades flat on the wall behind you. And you're going to slide your shoulders slowly up the wall. To do that, these muscles are going to be invited to contract. Count to 10. So it's a slow motion shrug of your shoulders. And you feel the contraction. That's the pandiculation. It's not doing the movement. It's feeling the tension that brings. And then in a minute, you're going to lower the shoulders. I'm going to invite you to count to 40. But for most people, getting to 10 will be hard initially. So you're going to slowly now lower the shoulders on the floor, on the wall, down the wall, feeling the letting go of these muscles and everything else. Breathing as you need, and count to 40 or 10 or 30. In other words, first time, just kind of figure out what you're doing. Feeling the letting go, that eccentric release of those muscles, controlling the letting go, but also because you're going so slow, you're conscious of the release of tension. If this is distressing you, you move around, get off the wall, do whatever you need to do. And you can imagine doing the exercise. There's power there. Everything lights up in the musculoskeletal system when you're imagining it as when you're doing it. So you're not losing that much. All right, so let's do that again. Slow motion, contracting to slide the shoulders on the wall, as comfortable as they'll be, up the wall. Breathe as you need to count to 10. Feel the contraction. Release the tension by breathing and relaxing. It might not go away, but imagine and feel the release of tension as you get to the 10. And then lowering down, count to 40. Slow motion release. And relax. And in this workshop, and usually in my classes, we do things in threes. You know, if you're thinking this is fruitful, you can do more. Just put it on pause if you have the tape and do a couple more. Trust your instincts. Again, feeling and taking full measure of responsibility. Count to 10. Coming up. Slow. Feel the tension, relax the tension. Notice if this was easier by the third time. Slow as you can, lower down. Feeling the lengthening of the fibers of these muscles up top. If we're at our computers and at our desks, they may not have let go this much in years, no matter how much stretching we do. And remember, I teach yoga, but pandiculation has its own magic involved in terms of creating release. Now, when you're done, you're going to come off the wall and look left and right. And you can move your shoulder around, just see if there's something there now that's new and different. And then lie down on your back again. And we're going to do really a good exercise to start any somatic session is the arch and curl. Orient your pelvis and spine in a very simple and fundamental way. And then finally, we end often, especially as we're unwinding pain problems. We do a lot of work on the floor because we want to get the motion without the other sort of, I don't want to use distractions, but the other challenges of holding yourself upright in posture, the prime moving and stabilizing part of ourself close to the bone, well, it can settle into itself on the floor in this way. So it's not easy to be easy. It's easy to get at that parts of ourself that escape us when we're trying to get out of pain. That's really one of the ways this type of work can maybe be a new way to approach getting your movement life back. So everybody, bring both knees are bent, feet are flat. Bring both hands behind your head. We did arch and flatten. Now we're going to do arch and curl, which, as you may have guessed, is related to arch and flatten and to the diagonal arch and curl that we did before. It's more of a full bilateral reintegrating movement pattern. It's a good way to end a lot of times. So as you have your fingers interlaced, hands behind your head, knees are bent comfortably. Breathe in, expand your belly, roll the pelvis away, contract your low back and arch. Allow the chin to move into the throat as your shoulders contract into the floor. By now, you may notice that the shoulder moving into the floor helps your back arch if you relax into it. And then release the contraction of your shoulders and the contraction of your low back to come to neutral. And then breathe in without arching. And as you exhale, you're going to bring your elbows toward your ears. You can feel the front of the chest contracting, front of the shoulders contracting, the belly contracting and hollowing as the back flattens. And then feel the shorten and continue elbow, chin to throat. Head rests in your hands, your elbows move toward your knees. The front of the body contracting, the tail is lifting, and the upper body is lifting, hence the curl that we're looking for. It's not a crunch, so just work to contracting and control the motion. Slow as you can, head released in your hands, lowering down, head to floor, elbows stay at your ears. And then release and relax, allow the elbows open out to the side, and let everything go. You may have moved 1/10 as much as I just showed. That's okay. Let's do that again. Breathing in, roll the pelvis away, contract your low back, shoulders into the floor, the elbows opening gently wide into the floor. Slow as you can, release along the back side, let everything go, coming to neutral. Inhale without arching. Exhale, contract and hollow the belly, elbows slowly toward your ears, your chin releasing the throat. Contract and hollow the ribs and belly as the elbows come toward your knees, lifting up only as far as you can feel the controlled, connected motion. And then slowly release and relax, lowering down. Elbows stay hugged at your ears. And then when your head reaches the floor, slowly the elbows open out to the side. And shut everything off. And relax. Do 2 more on your own. The easiest ones yet. On your own, I'll cue lightly, but don't, if you can go to your own experience, please do that. And again, so just to remind you, you breathe in, you're rolling the pelvis away, contract your low back as you bring your elbows and shoulders toward the floor. Feel the front of the body open wide as the backside gently contracts. And then release and relax. Let everything go. Shut everything off. And then do the next one where you're going to inhale without arching. Exhale, flatten the back, contract and hollow the belly, elbows toward your ears, and move into the pose and then out of it. Oops. When you're done with that, straighten your legs. Roll your head. Just cue into yourself. This is your time for yourself. Only we bring a certain kind of clarity and, increased clarity and feeling the connections that you're making now. And right now, in the pause between the work, you've set something in motion. You've set new connections in motion, and now you're just letting your higher faculties organize around that, get used to it, and hopefully feel pleasure and relaxation. Okay, so now everybody carefully turn to either side and carefully stand up. Taking your time. And remember, we started with a standing body scan. Well, that's how we're going to end. But again, a brief one for our purposes, just to see the weight balance, our connection to the floor. We're skeletally symmetrical. There's organ differences and placements and connective tissue differences as a consequence. But the net effect is that skeletally, the more the bones settle themselves in a neutral position because of the muscle and movement patterning and functioning, the more the bones are benefited and your joints are benefited, movement then becomes healing. When we move out of balance, then we move at the end of range of joints. We pound into structures that don't work correctly, that don't operate well in those places. And we can feel that. We just, we don't know that, but we can feel it once we're sensitive to it. So you can notice right now is the weight balance compared to before a little different. And again, the changes are small, but because they're small at your center, 1/4 inch change here is a 2-inch change way out into the other structures. It's a hub of a wheel. We're releasing these central difficulties to get greater ease through our extremities as well. So look left and right. See if that's easier. Are your knees more evenly positioned? Is the pelvis, does it feel more level, more comfortable, more neutral? The two shoulders in relation to your ears, they feel a little further away from your ears. For most of us who are like this, maybe they feel like they're a mile away. Maybe that feels almost uncomfortable. And breathe. Feel the breath front and back and just see if your body is over itself a little more comfortably. Remember, easy for the body to hold itself here. The minute you're here, now this guy's got to work really hard all day. The minute we're there, now we're working up here so hard. We get the bone to settle and the body can move more freely. So those are our references. That's the outcome of what we're looking for, is more centered, clear, easy action. So everybody take a moment, take a breath and let everything go. And then find a comfortable seat. And we can begin to share what's happened and figure out what we can do from here.